Released on May 19th of 2024, Indigo Park is a passion project by creator Unique Geese, in which you explore the dilapidated ruins of a Disney-esque, but legally distinct, theme park, following the guidance of Rambley, a digital raccoon that appears throughout the park on monitors and cameras. But before I go any further into the game, I should stress that this quick take is going to be pretty heavy on spoilers and discussing the first chapter of this game. It's kind of hard to avoid, unfortunately, as the game currently is only a little over an hour or so for your first playthrough. But if you haven't yet checked out Indigo Park, please stop the video and check it out. Chapter 1 is completely free and available over on Steam, and it's well worth experiencing beforehand. Don't worry about me, I'll be here, waiting. So, how's it going? Have you finished yet? I can't see if you're nodding your head. It's a pre-recorded video. I also can't hear what you're saying either. Kind of makes all the questioning redundant, doesn't it? Boy, this is awkward. Let's continue. The game opens on our protagonist, Ed, watching some pretty dated footage on the park's initial opening, messaging his friend Laura and trying to convince her to join him on exploring the remains of this dilapidated theme park. Laura passes, but warns him about the idea, saying she doesn't want to be paying his bail if he ends up getting caught. Ed takes his torch, but decides to leave his equipment behind and just jump a fence to break into the park.
2 kids gon' die tonight!
Probably not the wisest decision, but, if horror games had sensible protagonists in them, they'd take one look at a place like this and go, yeah, actually, no, forget that. I'm just gonna go home and, Google it instead. I'm dying for this. And here's where the game kicks off. We've got a little room to learn the controls, and a brief puzzle to solve before we can make our way into the park. The controls themselves are pretty intuitive. It's all stuff you'd come to expect from a game like this. But once we're finally inside, we can start to explore this place. While we don't know a heck of a lot about Indigo Park, outside of the game's opening cutscene and collectible descriptions, alluding that our protagonist has been here before, likely when he was way younger, it's not all too important for getting us into the story. Personally, I kinda like not having all the information up front for these kinds of locations in games, as it really helps build up the place's mystique. And currently we do only have the first chapter of the game to play through right now, so no doubt there's going to be a lot of speculation amidst the community. Thankfully though, Part 2 has already been fully crowdfunded a mere day after this chapter's release. Yippee! So rest assured, if this game leaves you wanting more, I'm sure we'll be getting it very soon. As we're committing, breaking, and entering into Indigo Park, we're introduced to the park's AI mascot.
I'm Rambley the raccoon, and it's my job to make sure your experience here at Indigo Park is the most fun it can be. Just hop on over to the registration center to your left, where our friendly assistant will help you begin your adventure in the park.
And honestly, I love Rambley. I feel like the entire internet loves this goofy little guy in his neckerchief. He's got a really fun personality, and his little quips and comments never got old for me.
Let me just get a good look at you.
He's incredibly endearing, and hopefully not gonna totally betray our trust later in other chapters of the game. Hopefully. In fact, on that note, all of the characters in Indigo Park have fantastic designs. I found myself drawing parallels with Security Breach in how the artwork around the park was so cute and friendly, very Disney-esque. All the while, they're, animatronics, I say with a question mark, had me going, no! Which I think really helps sell the narrative of the real theme park. I mean, have you seen one of those giant, clumsy park mascots before? Lumbering around and beckoning you over for a photo? Yeah, no, thank you, Mickey. I'm good. Thank you. No, I'm gonna go now. And yes, I'm very aware of the irony. The Mascot horror genre has been a pretty hectic one since Five Nights at Freddy's exploded onto the scene back in 2014. And yes, that is 10 years ago. 10 years since the first game dropped. Okay, go ahead and let that sink in. And since the grandfather of Mascot horror, we've had a number of new series in Poppy's Playtime, Garden of Banban, Bendy and the Ink Machine, Hello Neighbor, Choo Choo Charles. It feels like every year we get some new spin on the formula. But what I love the most about this genre is that it's solely driven by passionate indie developers who put the story and the characters first. Except for Garden of Banban. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there. And I can happily say that even even after the game's short first chapter, which was a little over an hour or so for my first playthrough and about half of that for my second, that I already love the foundation that Indigo Park is putting down. The game already presents us with a lot of mystery. How this picturesque park became so run down. Why the staff all stopped showing up to work one day. What happened to all the park animatronics? Question mark. What is Rambley's intentions with us? What was that minigame about in Jetstream Junction? Is Salem potentially the cause on why these characters have become so violent? What was with Molly's jump scare screen talking about her mimicking voices she'd heard? Were they mistreated? Did they revolt? And most importantly, is Golden Rambley lore relevant?
Hard to believe there was all that demand for a regular Rambley plush we just blasted with gold spray paint.
Oh. Well. Shit. I guess that answers that at least. Throughout the first chapter, there are a couple of sequences, like at Lloyd's live stage and the Launchpad maze, where you get pursued by the park's animatronics. Question mark. Which is a nice, frantic break in the pace after completing some puzzles and exploring the park. Though I did get caught like 3+ times during the Molly chase, which had me stressing that I was going the wrong way at the end of her chase. But rest assured, you're not. She just seems to yoink you if you're taking too long in the hallway with the Rambley mask. So, don't stop even if you can't see her behind you. In fact, the only real gripe I had with this game, and again, it's a minor thing, like, I probably shouldn't even bring it up, I guess, but the animatronics themselves, at least, again, I assume they're animatronics. I don't know. We literally chop off Molly's head and she sprays a fountain of blood, and I'm like, I think we just killed a guy, man. I don't know if that was a robot, man.
I'm not going back to prison, man. Do you know what they'll do to my tail in there?
Their art and design is phenomenal and super expressive, but when we actually see these entities, they didn't really quite match up with those designs. Molly was quite close to hers, I'll admit, but Lloyd I found was quite contrasting. But I feel like this can be kind of explained away in law, like, this is a rundown park. These characters have gotten pretty weathered since their heydays. It's not a complaint by any means, just more of a, oh man, if these animatronics looked more in line with their art designs, like the Glamrocks did in Security Breach, that would be amazing. The first chapter ends at the entrance of the Oceanic Odyssey, so no doubt we'll be meeting Finley at the kickoff of Chapter 2, given we saw him right at the end of the game. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the park's rides and attractions, and finding out exactly what went down before the park all fell apart. I'm also really hoping that the second chapter will show us more of Salem and their attraction at the park, assuming that they have one, at least. When we went through the game's introduction on the Rambley train, one of the stops we came to was completely destroyed, at which point we had to hop out and get the train back up and running. And if you're sharp, you'll spot a broken standee of Salem on the floor and amongst the rubble here. Definitely smells like foreshadowing to me. Our only real look at the character in the first chapter is through the arcade game, where she shows up and corrupts Molly with some kind of potion. And look, I'm just saying the fact that we then have to escape Molly does make me think Indigo Park is going to try and tell us a lot more of its story through minigames and such. Overall, I'm really enjoying Indigo Park, and I hope that we'll get to see a lot more of it real soon. I really want to talk more about this game, to ramble on about it, because it genuinely got me excited in a big way for the rest of the story. That ending song, Rambley Review, was so good I listened to it like 5 times in that same day. But for now, I think this is a great place to wrap things up. Thanks so much again for watching and subbing and leaving your comments, and make sure to keep an eye out for when this game gets its second chapter, because I'm going to be there on day 1. It's up there with Tormented Souls 2 in my most anticipated horror game of the year, unless it takes longer than a year list. And you know, hearing that out loud, I really gotta find a shorter name for that list. But until then, take care!
Bird up.